I'm talking with Josh Zerlan, and he is the Chief Operating Officer at Butterfly Labs. Hi,
Yes.
Josh.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Welcome to Let's Talk Bitcoin. I'm really interested in Bitcoin mining, as I'm sure you are too. And
A little bit,
a little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
And I'd love to, ask you some questions about what Butterfly Labs has been up to and, sort of what we can expect in the future coming out with Butterfly Labs. But first of all, how did you get interested in Bitcoin?
In Bitcoin itself?
Yeah.
Well, in 2009, I did download the client and started just looking at it. At the time, I probably mined a few hundred coins and...
Woo!
Yeah, I know, and overheated my laptop. I was like, oh, this is a nifty concept, and it promptly deleted everything. And so fast forward a couple years later, let's see, probably late 2010, I saw the article on, I think it was Slashdot, about the Bitcoin J client, the Java-based rewrite. I said, oh, that's kind of nifty, and I looked into that, and at that point I was like, oh, well, I'll try mining with my NVIDIA card. That didn't work out so well, so I purchased an AMD card and just snowballed from there.
So you were in there pretty early. I hear all these horror stories about people who mined, thousands of Bitcoins on some old computer, and then they said, it's not worth the electricity, and stopped, and then they formatted it at some point and lost, $50,000 or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately, I didn't mine too many, a few hundred. But I sold quite a few coins under $1, under $2, under $3. In one aspect, it's painful to think about it, but in the other, that was their value at the time, and it was just is what it is,
Yeah, and if you hadn't sold them, Bitcoin adoption may not be as far along as it was today, right? You were actually helping people get Bitcoins and use them. So it's such a funny thing when you talk about using Bitcoins or spending Bitcoins as they're going up in value. I mean, I'm sure the guy who bought the $10,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin pizza. Yeah, I'm sure he gets a lot of, people ask him if he feels regret about it. But from what I've heard from him, he says, well, I helped kick off the use of this currency, so I don't feel too bad about it. So he's a good sport.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you have to grow the economy somehow, and if you just hold on to your coins all the time, it'll never go anywhere. So in that aspect, I don't feel bad about it at all. And I was doing my part.
Yeah, taking one for the team.
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell me, what is Butterfly Labs for somebody who doesn't know what that is, and what do you do at Butterfly Labs?
Well, Butterfly Labs manufactures mining hardware. We have the most advanced chip out right now, and it basically buys you lots of Bitcoin lottery tickets. We have a number of different products that, from the entry level to all the way up to the industrial scale mining. We have a little bit of something for everyone there. What I do in there, I try to keep everything running and do a lot of strategic planning and the direction that Butterfly Labs is going to look to go here in the future.
So do you build the machines, or do you just coordinate plans for the company, or I don't know what you do.
Me personally, no, I don't like physically build the machines, but I do coordinate the people who do. A lot of my role is for strategic planning for new products and evolution of current products.
Okay, so you're thinking about what are we going to do next. Butterfly Labs has been taking pre-orders, for a while, and there's some people who are, upset because the shipping has been delayed a number of times. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely, and I can't say it too many times. We are very, very sorry for the delays. We very much understand the frustration and anger that the customers have, and we share the pain, and we don't begrudge the people the anger, because it is absolutely a failure on our part to get them out when we promised. We've built up a very robust supply and manufacturing chain. It's taken much longer than we thought. Our chip being the most advanced chip out now, right? It presented hurdles that we had to overcome.
For example, what would be some of the things that might cause an unforeseen delay?
For example, we have to get the chip packaging together. We have to get the whole supply run coming from the foundry to the slicing and dicing, to the packaging, to the assembly plant in Chicago, which puts it on the boards to us to get them in the cases in the box, and the box out to the shipping companies. So there's a lot of things going to this, and what a lot of people don't realize, we're not a small-scale operation. We have over 50 employees now. There's lots of steps, there's lots of orders, and we're just moving as fast as we can. And I wish it was as simple as some people thought it was. We're doing everything we possibly can to move this along as fast as we can. But as I said, we totally understand why people are frustrated, and they have every right to be. And like I said, I can't apologize enough, but we're absolutely trying to get those units out as fast as possible.
Yeah, and so do you have an expected time when they're going to be shipping? Or I know there's multiple different models that we're talking about, but like I saw a video with the jalapeno model, right? It was, 6 gigahashes per second or something like that?
The jalapeno is actually 5, or the super jalapeno is 7 gigahash.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. So I saw a video with a demo unit on that from Coding in My Sleep with David Perry. Have you started shipping those yet, or are they still waiting on the mass production?
We've shipped thousands of the jalapenos.
Gotcha, okay.
And we're shipping all of our product lines. We've shipped hundreds of the singles. The little singles are a little bit behind, and we've shipped quite a few mini rigs. What a lot of people don't realize is that there's a lot of orders that aren't on the customer kept lists. A lot of our customers don't want to be public. They don't want to be known. They're very private, and they have their own orders. They do their own thing. They don't even get on the forums. They don't have a login form. They don't even read the forums. We get lots of customers that call up and be like, "I want your Bitcoin miner. What does it do, by the way?"
Wow.
Yeah, we're always surprised by those calls too. We're like, might want to do some due diligence there, but it's right. And we also have a lot of interest from Chinese, actually. That's picked up quite a bit, and they're not quite in the same boat of what does it do, but they know they want to be part of it, but they don't know exactly how they want to be part of it.
Yeah, so I guess that brings up a question for me, which is that Avalon, which was pretty much the first ones to get out an ASIC miner, they manufactured their units in China, as far as I know, right? And you're manufacturing in Chicago, is that right?
Yeah, we're pretty much all America. Our actual wafers are produced in Singapore, and they're shipped here to the U.S., sliced and diced in the U.S., sent for binning at another U.S. company, sent to Chicago for the mounting, and then sent to Kansas City. So it's pretty much exclusively manufactured in the U.S.
But in multiple different places in the U.S., right? So,
yes.
So I could imagine that might cause some delays if the materials are going from point to point, and then at any point there could be a delay in the manufacturing process that impacts the time frame.
Absolutely. That's one of the problems, one of the pain points we have, and it's one of the things we're working on. We're trying to streamline that quite a bit.
Was it just not possible to make them all in one place at the time when you started, or what?
Well, it's very hard to find reliable people to do that, and we've gone through a number of vendors for various different processes. We've settled on a new vendor for our packaging, and it's actually a one-stop shop for slicing, dicing, and packaging. So it eliminates a whole step, a whole shipping step. So it'll go from there to binning to Chicago. Hopefully that'll cut it down. It's actually a superior process that increases our volume dramatically in terms of how many chips we get in. So we're working on paring that down.
Yeah. So now at this point there are some other companies that, like I just talked with Sam from KNC Miner, and there are some other companies coming out with pretty powerful ASIC devices. Are you worried about competition, I guess you could say? Are you planning anything to kind of up the ASIC arms race, new products that are more powerful to kind of compete with the next generations? Well,
we're definitely watching the competition and seeing what's coming down the pipe. And given our past track record, I'm very hesitant to comment on our future products right now, just because I don't want to make promises and anything like that. But we'll definitely remain competitive with anything coming out.
Yeah. It must be... do you feel skeptical that other companies are going to ship that are doing pre-orders right now? Because, given the difficulties that you had, do you anticipate that other companies may have the same problems if they're trying to make similar devices?
I have to think they will, because there was a lot of gotchas that you just... if you knew about them, of course you'd plan for them, but there's just especially when you're talking about dealing with the consumer space, and then if you have a large volume consumer space, there's so many issues that you have to deal with to get those out on time that the other competitors are probably not ready for. As I said, we've spent a monumental amount of effort getting our supply chain and manufacturing chain up and running, and until you actually do that and find the kinks and work them out, there's really very little amount of planning that will hold up to reality.
One of the big issues that I've heard a lot of people talk about is that, so there were some pre-orders with Butterfly Labs in Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin went up dramatically in value during the time when the people were waiting for their orders to ship. Have you done anything to address that? Like if people complained about it, and what do you say to that? Do you see other people doing the same thing, taking pre-orders in Bitcoin and waiting? I mean, can you comment about that?
Well, we've always priced our products in US dollars, and we go through a payment processor called BitPay, which I'm sure most of the listeners are familiar with. And they, we don't, as much as I'd like to deal in Bitcoin, the volatility makes it difficult because we can't pay our vendors in Bitcoin. We can't. So I understand some of the arguments there. Unfortunately, if anyone had known that Bitcoin was going to go up, you wouldn't have spent the Bitcoin, or you would have purchased Bitcoin to replace it. Hindsight is great for your investing, but there's nothing. Who knows? It could have dropped, and then people would complain if we refunded them the same amount of Bitcoin.
Sure.
So in that aspect, if we were to refund people the same amount of Bitcoins, we could be used as a hedge. If it rises, then I want my Bitcoins back. If it goes down, then I'm going to take my hardware. It just wouldn't make sense. It's just not it's not a viable business model.
Sure. Yeah. And what kind of testing do you do? I guess with the new units in house, do you have a mining facility at Butterfly Labs where you're testing new devices, or tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we do our burn-in testing for about 24 hours per unit. We do it on our local network to our local test net in a box. And it's actually been one of our pain points because we have such volume that we have to test. We're running low on power in one of our facilities. So we purchased a new warehouse, and it's doubling as a testing facility, and we're also turning up a couple other data centers that we can plug in. It's getting kind of complicated as far as that goes, just because we test them for 24 hours, pull them off, put them in a box, and out they go. They're in the door and out the door just absolutely as fast as possible.
Yeah. And have you heard from the customers who have received them? Like, what kind of feedback have you heard from them?
Just about everyone has loved them. I mean, we've had a very small failure rate. There has been some failed jalapenos. They ship them back.
Replace them?
Yeah, they ship them back. We send them out a new one, no problem. I think maybe less than 1% of the singles and mini rigs that have gone out have had any issue at all. We've been pretty pleased with the failure rate.
Yeah. And so I know that there was a device that didn't meet the power specs that were sold on the pre-order. And so there was an agreement from Butterfly Labs to donate, 1,000 Bitcoins to charity?
1,000 Bitcoins, yeah.
Right. And so that resulted in the Bitcoin Development Fund, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, initially we looked around for a charity or charities to donate it to, and it's surprisingly hard to find charities that accept Bitcoin as a donation.
Yeah, I know. There's a few. I work with one of them, but there's just very few.
Yeah. So what we decided was, it's a substantial sum of money, $100,000. We didn't necessarily want to give it to one charity, and trying to find a lot of charities to donate that money to was difficult. So we put together the fund so we could promote Bitcoin as a two-pronged approach. One, we'll donate to any charity that accepts Bitcoin. We won't convert it for them and then donate the dollars. But then we also support the Bitcoin economy and the Bitcoin ecosystem by donating to the projects that further the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, so, for instance, open source Bitcoin software, right, mining software, things like that. I've heard some criticism that, they're funding mining software. This is something that helps them. This isn't really charity. What do you say to that?
Right. I mean, you can sort of say it's not a charity per se, and I understand the argument that, oh, well, you said you donate to charity. And that's true as far as it goes, but I think we're doing far more good by promoting the Bitcoin economy and the Bitcoin ecosystem. And mining is a huge part of that at this time. And the developers, Khan, Kolovas, Kano, Luke Jr., they all put in hundreds and hundreds of hours into these programs, and they don't ask for any money. They ask for donations. They get them, but they don't get a lot. I mean, they don't get anywhere near what their time is worth. They do it out of a labor of love. And, we toss 50 Bitcoins their way. That's more than a fair compensation on behalf of everyone who uses the software. And it's not like we're donating 500 Bitcoins to each of them and, it's just some good old boys network. They have a small portion of what we have. Most of our stuff has actually gone to actual charities. And we've donated to Wayside Waifs, which is a local animal rescue in Kansas City, a program called Homes for Hackers, which offers homes to 90 days to up-and-coming hacker projects. I'd have to look.
Sean's Outpost, I know.
Sean's Outpost, that was one of our first ones. That fed 7,500 meals for homeless people. There's tons. There's lots of different charities, and we're always looking for more. And like I said, if you have one, by all means, let us know. We're looking. We still have over $60,000 to donate, and we actually have one person dedicated to calling up charities, explaining Bitcoin to them, and say, we will donate to you, $10,000, $15,000 if you accept Bitcoin. The majority of them just won't do it, even in the face of, here's $20,000 if you just do this.
Wow.
No. Yeah, it's very surprising and it's very frustrating. It's like, just, this is free money. We're willing to give you a sizable donation, and you have to do very little work. Then don't even want to deal with it. And so that's why we're even more resolute in the fact that we'll only donate to the charities that accept Bitcoin. I think the more charities that accept it, it'll become a self-perpetuating thing. Then these other charities will see it and say, oh, well, maybe we should accept Bitcoin.
Right, yeah.
So that's kind of where our mindset is with that. And I wish we could do it faster, but we want to do it properly. So we're doing it a little slower, calling them up, working with these charities, and saying, you really want to do this. It's a whole new avenue for you.
Where can people find you online and all that stuff?
Butterflylabs.com.
Cool, that's easy to remember.
Easy to remember, yeah.
Yeah, Josh, thank you so much for talking with me today. I appreciate your time.
No problem, thank you.
Hi, this is Jason King, founder at Sean's Outpost, and you are listening to Let's Talk Bitcoin. Sean's Outpost is a homeless outreach in Pensacola, Florida, and we are proudly powered by Bitcoin. To date, over 13,000 meals have been fed to the homeless in our area, all purchased with Bitcoin and through the generosity of the cryptocurrency community. Read more about us at seansoutpost.com. Food, shelter, Bitcoin, everybody. Sean'sOutpost.com.